everybody. Ren Carothers here with your Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday. But speaking of an older horse, actually, we just saw this past weekend Maxfield get his ticket punched to the Longines Classic, winning the Stephen Foster there at Churchill Downs. Huge congratulations to Brendan Walsh, who so kindly gave me a ton of his time last week to talk about that horse, his journey in training, and of course, Extravagant Kid and more. You can check that interview out on Breeders' Cup YouTube. But let's get to this week's guest, my very special guest and friend, Randall Lowe, aka Randy. Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Oh gosh, no, thanks for coming on. I mean, first of all, what a journey you've been on. And I want you, before we get into talking about Lady Shipman and talking about Golden Powell, because I love that we're twins, let's talk about how you actually got involved in racing, because when you get into discussing the motivation, the inspiration, it really brings the profoundness of the story of Golden Powell into clarity as to why this horse means so much to you. So go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and tell us your story.
Okay, everybody. When I was a little kid, I got involved in racing because my dad would take me to the races when I was a good little kid as a reward. And he said, one day I'm going to own a racehorse and we're going to do this and that, and which he never did. And I thought, okay, when I was in my 20s, all right, let's jump in and let's try everything. And then, fast forwarding everything, and then my association with John Mabey, and he told me everything I was doing wrong. And I said, oh man, you don't know what you're talking about, but he was right. And he taught me so much. He took me to Kentucky Derbies, Breeders' Cups, all around the world. And when he passed, and I thought, maybe it's time. Maybe I can do what he could not do. And lo and behold, I did it. So I'm very proud.
Well, you should be. And there's just been a lot of gratitude that you've shown for the mentorship that he gave you. I remember throughout that whole day at Breeders' Cup and the weekend, really, just talking about the fact that, as you just said, he took you under his wing, basically, and shared that wealth of knowledge with you. And he really made such an impact that I remember very distinctly this picture of you when you were holding up the trophy, saying, "This is for you, John."
Yes. Actually, I have that trophy hanging on my wall right to my left.
Oh my gosh. Well, I see a lot of paraphernalia behind you. Why don't you tell us what you have behind, hanging on the wall, underneath the TV set? I think I see a Lady Shipman framed saddlecloth back there.
Yeah, yes, you do. Well, we didn't have time to get everything back, to get framed and everything. So we're still, it's a work in progress. I bought a new home over here, so we had to move everything, and we've been scrambling to get everything, in order. But if you to my left are all the stakes pictures of Lady Shipman and Powell.
Oh gosh.
Well, and if you go in the den or living room, you see all kinds of trophies.
Well, I have above my head there, right there, because you were so kind. You let me be part of Team Powell, and I got to go into the winner's circle with y'all. And so that's right there on my wall. Got my hat. And so let's talk about, before we get to even Lady Shipman, when you said you thought that you had the knowledge now to back you up to get into the industry in a serious manner. Who was the first horse you bought?
In a serious manner, or the first stakes horse that I ever?
Oh, hey, anything. Like, take us. The first
the first stakes horse I ever had was with Wally DeLasse. That was a horse named Persian Lux. And we actually broke the world's record for mile 3/4 with the horse. Wow. At Santa Anita in San Juan Capistrano. We tried to go wire to wire. We went by the 6 furlongs in 109.4 that day. And we broke the world record by about 8 seconds. But he got beat a head bob at that race. Oh. It was fun. It was exciting. And then we won the San Luis Obispo Handicap after that. And once you get into winning the bigger races, you always want to come back.
Right.
And the other races that I had, horses won, it was fun. But it wasn't the satisfaction that you get for having the stakes horse.
Well, what was it like the very first time you were able to even put your name down on that horse as an owner? Was it a moment of profound significance? Was it more of just general excitement of, okay, well, let's hope this horse is something? Was it just a matter of, okay, I finally, got my name on horse? Because that's a huge accomplishment as it is. I think people outside of racing don't understand just how hard it is to get a horse to the races at all, let alone,
Yeah. But when your horse is down there and you're listed as the owner, you are so proud. And you're competing against, again, in the stakes ranks, you're competing against the super rich people of the world. And if you can beat them and everything, I mean, that day I won the first stakes race ever in my whole life. I mean, I was higher than cloud nine. I mean, you couldn't. I couldn't explain the whole experience. All I know is I had champagne all over the place, and I had drank so many glasses of champagne. They said, you need to sit down and you need to drink water and calm down and everything. But it's really an unbelievable experience.
Well, let's talk about the fact that with Lady Shipman, you actually bred her. You didn't just own her. You bred her. So when did you get into the breeding side of it where you were putting your name down as breeder? And to have a horse like that in particular, I mean, well, I'll get into it for a minute. I'm going to let you actually first go ahead and tell us, was she the first horse you bred, or did you have other horses that you had bred before?
Actually, she was the first horse that I bred.
Wow.
Actually, no, I take back the second horse. The first
Okay.
horse was a horse named So Midnight Star, which I had with Bob Baffert. But unfortunately, he caught pneumonia, and we had to rush him to the Chino Hospital, and he recovered from the pneumonia, but he was never the same. And Lady Shipman was the second one, or actually the first one to make it to the races fully without having to go through everything.
Do you know how to bet? The odds to have that type of success with just the second horse you've ever bred is insane.
Yes. Yeah. I've got a professor friend, Frankie Barrow, he lives in Claremont, California, and he says, the odds of you getting to the Breeders' Cup is something like 50 million to 1. And he says, and the odds of you winning the Breeders' Cup is so astronomical that it's unbelievable. It really is. But the fact that I have satisfaction because I did everything and I did it my way. So there are a lot of people that want to know what I know.
Yeah. We want to know what you know.
Yeah, so do the bettors.
Yeah, right?
But what I know and what everybody wants to know, they'll just have to wait until I retire.
Okay. Well, I love the anticipation, but this all feels so meant to be because when you look at Lady Shipman, you did try to put her through sale and she RNA'd. So you kept her.
Yeah. When we tried to sell Lady Shipman, she worked 9 and 4 for an eighth of a mile. And she galloped out in 33 seconds. And I remember the announcer at OBS in Florida saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is the fastest filly that we have in the auction. And yet I couldn't get anybody to believe me. I was going around different trainers and talking to them and telling them about Lady Shipman. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, if you're talking to us, you must trying to pull a fast one. But no, it's like, okay, you know what? And then I had this attitude. If you don't believe me, I'm buying my horse back and I'll show you guys.
Wow. And you sure did show them. I mean, my goodness, she won 13 of 21 races, I believe 11 stakes races. I think she went on a 7-race streak where she put up triple-digit buyers each time. She set records on synthetic. She set record on a turf. She put up 108 buyer, I believe, in the Classy briefcase. I mean, she's so remarkable. And then she put in and we're going to show that replay here in a moment. She put in that ever so game performance in the 2015 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at Keeneland. So when she's doing all this, I mean, you're such a nice guy, but there had to be a part of you that felt like, yeah, I told you so, right?
Oh yes, yes. There's a lot of that. I mean, and after I retired Lady Shipman, you know, I'd considered selling her, you know, getting out of the business because I figured I couldn't do any better than almost winning the grand prize and grabbing the brass ring.
Yeah.
And then the people that I went up to, and I won't mention any names in particular, but they said to me like, your mare is not worth anything because they considered her to be a maiden mare. And they said, so what, she won on the racetrack, but she hasn't produced anything in the breeding shed. So I said, okay, you know, if that's how you guys feel about everything, then I'll take her back and I'll breed her and I'll show you guys again. So it's been an unbelievable ride, and wait till you see Lieutenant General.
Well, I can't. Well, we're going to talk about him more in just a minute, but let's show. I know this is a second place finish, but so close. We're going to show the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint from 2015 at Keeneland. She is throwing down against the boys, showing them what's up, and it came right down there to that wire. So let's go ahead and take a look back. Again, the 2015 Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and even though technically she didn't win, it is featuring Lady Shipman.
And they're off. Ready for Rye and Mongolian Saturday, and Lady Shipman all quick into stride. Pure Sensation away up close in fourth. Joe Franklin fifth. The Great Warway sixth. There goes Jimmy Bouncer moving up from seventh into fifth. Now up to press the issue. Further back, Bobby's Kitten, one lane off the rail, is in seventh. Pure Sensation eighth. Marchman ninth toward the outside. Stack Deck is a wide 10th. Something Extra goes 11th. Green Mask is 12th. Undrafted is 13th. And No Silent 14th. And last into the far turn. Ready for Rye against the rail. Leads it by a half length. Mongolian Saturday second, 22 seconds. The time for the opening quarter. And then a gap of 2 more lengths back to Lady Shipman, third by a head, just to the inside of Jimmy Bouncer in fourth. Bobby's Kitten, much closer to the front than he was at this stage a year ago. Has to swing wide, though, off the turn. 6 lengths off the lead. Mongolian Saturday has to lead. Here comes Lady Shipman on the outside. Ready for Rye, drops back third. Bobby's Kitten fourth. Green Mask is fifth. Mongolian Saturday with the lead, chased by Lady Shipman. Green Mask and Bobby's Kitten. Mongolian Saturday trying to hang tough. Lady Shipman and Green Mask.
One more step.
She would have had it. She would have had it. Was there a moment? Because it almost, honest to goodness, you watch that replay back and it looks like she got there.
Yes. And at the races live, I remember people coming up and they said, you won it, you won it. And I said, I don't know. And they said, you won it. And it was just unbelievable.
Oh, I'm sure you were still unbelievably proud of her, because just to watch her target that horse and she gutted it out to get to him. That's such a testament. Horses either have that type of fortitude or they don't. That's not something you can train in.
Yeah, you can't teach a horse to want to win.
Yeah,
that has to come from within.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember, and you and I, we've talked on the phone a bit, but I remember, and just to tell our viewers, meeting you back in Dubai when we went over there. And I know that race didn't go as, you'd had hope, but I'm sure that whole experience, to think of this horse that, the second horse you've bred, a horse that you bought back because other people didn't have the faith in her. Here she's taking you to Dubai. I mean, what was that experience like for you?
Going to Dubai was very interesting. I mean, that was Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum's place over there, and when they don't use assistant starters over there, so when they put you in the gate, and if you hear any noise or anything like that, because Lady Shipman, when we loaded her in the gate, the band started playing, so she would take her head and she would turn her head and look back. So when we flew Randall over there to ride the horse, and then when he straightened her out, and then they started playing again because standing in the gate, and she wanted to see, so she turned her head, and then they started the race. Oh. So we broke about 3 lengths behind, and we lost the whole thing by 2.5 lengths.
Wow!
And if we would have said, okay, let's keep our heads on straight, and boom, and started, I think we could have won the race.
Oh,
But I'm sure every horse that runs in a race like that has an excuse. But the experience was something, again, to experience it as an owner, it really is hard to explain.
and that's the thing. I still remember it so distinctly because, and I mentioned this before when we shot something for Breeders' Cup this past fall. You know, what really stood out was how much love and admiration you had for your horse. And I have to imagine at some point, going back to, proving people wrong, I have to imagine you had it by that point, at least a call or two of people saying, you were right all along about this mare, and you want to sell her now? I mean, while she was still race fit.
Well, the thing about Lady Shipman that a lot of people don't know is when I used to go up to Lady Shipman, even when she was younger, she literally would come up to me and put her head on my left shoulder and her face and would like to give me a hug every single time. Even when I went to different racetracks, even after the Breeders' Cup, she would come up to me and give me a hug. And not to get sentimental, but it's so hard when she's almost like my little kid that is trying to win everything. And when I think about her and I do that kind of stuff, I know that the respect I have for her and hopefully the love that she has for me is something that I have no words for.
Well, she helps you defy the odds, that's for sure. What is the inspiration for her name, Lady Shipman? I know she's by Midshipman, who won the 2008 Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
And she's a lady.
And
so
she's a lady.
Lady Shipman.
Well, there you go. It's as simple as that. Well, did you, I wonder also, were the consigners surprised that she didn't bring the bid, especially after that work at the sale there at OBS?
Yeah, I mean, not to, again, say names about certain individuals.
Okay, we can leave blanks.
Yeah, there were some politics involved, and
okay.
So we'll just leave the past in the past.
That's right. Well, okay, so she defied the odds for you herself, and then again, just the second horse you've ever bred, Lady Shipman. You breed her to 2010's champion Juvenile and Breeders' Cup Juvenile champ, Uncle Mo, and her very first foal, Golden Powell. What are the odds that not only, out of this horse, again, where you had everything stacked against you, she would perform the way she did, and then she would produce a horse who would finish her uncompleted business by becoming a Breeders' Cup champion himself at our past event here at Keeneland, in which he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. It's so remarkable. I'm going to show that replay also, but before I do that, just tell us about, the decision to breed her to Uncle Mo, and then what you thought of him when he was foaled, and all that good stuff leading up to him beginning his racing career.
Well, I chose Uncle Mo because, I mean, he was kind of a bigger, he's a real big horse.
Yeah.
And, Lady Shipman's kind of on the smaller end. And I thought, if we put the cross together, if she could pass her speed on to Golden Powell, that's all I really wanted. And as far as taking Golden Powell to the auction, I did the same thing I did with Lady Shipman. I went up to all these different trainers and all these people who were looking at him, and I would tell them about the horse, and they're like, yeah, you're trying to sell us your horse. Okay, fine. You don't have to buy my horse. You don't have to do anything. I'll just show you guys. And you guys would just see. So, yeah.
And we saw, here, actually, let's just show everybody right now what he did. What everybody missed out on here. We're going to share the audio. Here is a Golden Powell in the 2020 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Off in the Juvenile Turf Sprint. And there goes Golden Powell immediately to the early lead. Into the Sunrise and Momos are 2 lengths behind him already. And in between horses and moving up is Bodenheimer as they head up the backstretch. Now Golden Powell, a little bit hard to control here. Bodenheimer's going to slip through and take a narrow lead. Into the Sunrise is right up there. Blame the Booze is 4 deep, and then comes Momos. followed on the outside by Dirty Dangle and Second of July on the extreme outside. Cowan is in behind them, about 6 lengths off the lead as they make their way around the turn. Then Mighty Gurkha, who's been taken to the outside with 5.5 lengths to make up. After 5 is going wide on the turn. You better believe it has gone on the inside, about 7 lengths off the lead. Liquids on his neck, Windy City Red, and Company Final. And they're into the stretch, and Golden Pal is again, and did he ever? Oh, he's 5 in front as they come to the final furlong. Cowan on the outside has moved up into second. You better believe it has come up the rail. Golden Pal, another 16th to go. You better believe it is Cowan chasing him home. Coming to the wire, it is Golden Pal winning the Juvenile turn sprint. And then it was Cowan second. You better believe it was third. A three-way photo for fourth in a final time of 102.82.
Seriously, my gosh. And okay, so actually, before we talk about how awesome it is to have experienced the win, were you thinking anything like, what is going on when you saw his neck kind of hollow out early on in the race? And
Yes.
that kind of brought him back a little bit. And by the way, another thing to add to this, the lore of the story. I mean, Rad was aboard Lady Shipman in 2015 also.
Yeah. When he grabbed a hold of him, I said, "What is he doing?" We had taught Golden Powell how to rate, so a lot of people think, "Oh, he's a glorified front runner," but they don't realize that he has Lady Shipman type speed where she could go 1/8 of a mile during the race in 10 and 2. You know, so he went 10 and 4, you know, and everything else too. And then if you watch the race again, you see him just spurred away from everybody as if like, where did everybody go? But you know, when Erad took a hold of him again, it was because, you know, all the horses were out there. He was kind of fresh and he wanted to run.
Yeah. Oh gosh, and boy did he run! And I felt so. I obviously your reaction means more. I'm just going to briefly say I was walking around so pleased as punch. I've told you before, but to tell the audience, everybody, there was only one horse, either day, Friday or Saturday, that I knew, unless he fell out of the gate on his face, would not lose. And I was telling everybody that horse was Golden Pal. I said, there's no way this horse loses. I mean, this is a horse who originally you guys were talking about maybe putting him in the Nunthorpe Stakes, the Group 1 Nunthorpe Stakes at York, in which at the time he was 2 years old. He would have been in against the eventual winner and champion sprinter Batash. And Kieran Fallon, champion jockey, said that he thought there was no doubt that Golden Pal could beat Batash. So, I mean, come on. How is that horse going to lose? So now for you watching the race and he's crossing the wire, what's happening? I mean, I'm sure you're overjoyed, but I mean, was it slow motion? Was it fast? What did it feel like?
They had a person there filming us as the race was going on. And if you see that thing, you'll see coming to the wire, you know, my wife, my brother, my cousin, they're all, you know, screaming and yelling. And I actually, before the wire, and you never do this in a horse race, you never, when people say to you, you've won it, you've got it, you got it, that's like the kiss of death.
I've done that to Matt a few times.
Yeah, and then you see me actually take my hands and I put them out to the sides. And before the wire, and I knew that I had done what everybody said I could not do. And they said, you can breed a Breeders' Cup winner. Look at all the guys out there that spend millions and millions of dollars. You only have one chance to do this. And it was so much satisfaction to show everybody. And again, when I tried to sell Golden Pal, I went up to all the trainers and did the same thing I did with Lady Shipman, and yet nobody would believe me or acknowledge, except for Wesley Ward. He was the only one.
Talk about that relationship. How did you guys come together with Golden Pal?
Well, you know, back when Lady Shipman was running, I was actually in Honolulu, Hawaii, and Wesley called me, and I was trying to decide between Wesley and Karen McLaughlin. But Wesley doesn't go to Dubai, and Karen trained over there before, so it was almost like a coin flip. And I gave Lady Shipman to Karen. So this time, when I was at the auction, Wesley, I see him looking at the horse. I see him following the horse. I see him looking at the horse in the sales ring. And this was supposedly his pick of the whole auction.
Oh.
And so when Coolmore, who I thought we had a deal with, returned the horse after me, I gave him 60 days. Who gives somebody a horse for 60 days? And says, if you don't want the horse, you can return it to me. Again, just like I did to the trainers and everything. So, okay, you don't believe in me? I'll show you. So.
Well, now Wesley is saying that this is the best horse I have ever trained by far.
Yeah, until Lieutenant General comes around.
And we're going to talk about Lieutenant General also, but before we do that, I do want to talk about what went into Golden Powell's name. We've talked about this before. We did a segment on it. But for those who don't know, again, this harkens back to your relationship with John C. Mabie. So tell everybody.
Yeah, John C. Mabie's best horse was the horse named Golden Powell, and he owned Golden Eagle Farms. So when I was trying to think of a name for him, I said Golden for Golden Eagle, Powell for Best Powell. So there we got Golden Powell.
That's so great. And Best Powell, what a horse, right?
Oh yeah, he was the people's horse and everything.
Yes.
He was a gelding.
I wonder what were the actual stats on it, because I know, what was he, second in the 91 Derby?
Yes, we got beat ahead by Strike Gold in that race.
Yeah, and I think he made over $5 million over the course of his career.
Yeah, he did make $5 million.
What a horse! Were you there for that Derby?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
My gosh, can you talk about that? I'd love to hear
it. When I was there again for the first time, I mean, a lot of these things are first time experiences for me. So, as a green kid, supporting the owner, you don't know what to do. And to see everything, and I remember trying to dress as good as I could. And I remember my feet hurt so bad from the shoes I was wearing. I actually took them off and stood in a flower bed over there, and they're like, "Oh my God, we have to put them back on." And I had to walk back up to the seats where we were sitting and everything.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and then when I went home, I couldn't put my shoes on. Had to find some tennis shoes and limp home. But it was well worth the experience. And I honestly think that being with John, and again looking and watching him develop his horses, his mentorship to me was truly unbelievable. But again, John Mabie had hundreds of horses.
Yeah.
I only got one or two horses. Yeah. And people say the first time you do something, you got lucky. Okay. The second time you do something, is it skill or is it luck?
It's skill.
I don't know the answer to that.
And you gotta, again, I keep saying it, but you gotta think this was all meant to be. I mean, again, the mentorship, the Lady Shipman, Golden Powell, and the fact that there was a reason that they stayed with you and performed to the level that they did. And this is what you were telling me earlier when we had a conversation before about you got him to this level, and now you feel it's time for him to step it up even further. And this is now what led to a deal with Coolmore. So can you talk about that and what you expect for his campaign in 2021?
Yeah, well, Coolmore, again, is a worldwide conglomerate, and they can sell the horses, they can shuttle them all around. And I don't have a farm. I only have a home here in Las Vegas. Again, different entities were calling me different farms. And I thought, Coolmore is number one, so why not go with the best? He's only going to have about 3 or 4 more races. He's going to have the quick call, which is coming up, I think, in about 2 weeks.
It's Saratoga.
Yeah, and if he wins and comes out okay, I mean, I don't want to jinx myself, knock on wood. He'll be off to York for the Nunthorpe Stake, which happens to be called the Coolmore.
The Coolmore Nunthorpe.
Yeah.
Would that not be fitting, right?
Yes.
Gosh, and you're gonna go.
Yes.
You have to, and you got to do. I mentioned to you before. If you go to England, you got to do high tea. and, and get your finger sandwiches in, your scones and everything. I mean, what a ride, to Dubai with the mayor, and to England potentially with her son. And, I think it's so fitting also that he's going to stand at Coolmore with his dad, Uncle Mo. It just, all the pieces just seem to fit so perfectly. And the end goal would be Breeders' Cup again, turf sprint, right?
Yes, that Del Mar this year.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost a step. Again, earlier when he ran the Breeders' Cup, he had a small bone chip in his right ankle, which is like a pebble in a shoe, and we stopped to take it out.
Okay.
Conversations going back and forth. If we didn't take it out and it flared up again, then he would miss the Breeders' Cup. But with the Nunthorpe and the Breeders' Cup being our main goals, we stopped for 3 months and took him out. Before we stopped on him, he was working lights out. 5 furlongs in 57 seconds.
Wow.
And that's just in the workout. And we've been teaching him how to rate. So, he's about 4 or 5 lengths behind everybody and still running that fast.
Wow. And you're talking about the way he's matured. I mean, he was already a hunk of a horse. I think Wesley kind of described him sort of like when the star athlete walks up, because I've told you this many times before, but it bears repeating for the audience. When I was going on the backside looking for the horses, because I was scheduled to do an interview with Wesley about Golden Pal, and I'm just looking around, and right away, I just knew it had to be him, because he just had this presence about him that was so alpha. Just a gorgeous horse already. Again, one of the things that makes a real star stallion is a horse that had precociousness, but then could carry it on and mature even further into the next year. And he looks that type.
Yes, he actually is. He's actually a lot bigger now. Wait till you see how big he is now.
He's a remarkable specimen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited, even though I sold him to Coolmore because they would take his career to be a top-notch stallion.
Yes.
But all is not lost. I've still got Lady, and she's carrying a foal to Powell.
Sibling. And we don't know the sex yet.
Foal to Uncle Mo. And and then we have Lieutenant General, which is
yes. Let's talk about Lieutenant General. Tell everybody about this boy, because I remember I got to see the video when he was born.
Yeah, well, the video that I sent you, he was only 2 hours old.
That's crazy.
And I don't see too many young horses getting up, walking around, running around. I mean, it was just like, how old is this guy again? He's 2 and everything, and
Omaha Beach, right?
Yeah, by Omaha Beach. So again, because I only have 2 horses now, I'm trying to figure out what do I do with the 2 horses. Do I raise Omaha Beach? Do I sell him? I mean, because if I got to do the same thing I did with Lady Shipman and Powell, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, you've proven the goods are there for sure.
Yeah, and again, going to the industry, you would think people would know that I'm not trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes, that I'm giving them legitimate horses, but yet nobody seems to acknowledge that fact. So it's okay. You know what? If you don't want it, I'll just keep them and race them myself.
But that's the thing. I would think at this point, especially also what we're seeing, the fact that you've got a horse here, Golden Pal. Another reason why it's so great to see this horse go to stud. We've seen Uncle Mo now become a sire of sires. We've seen Nyquist hit right away. We saw, unfortunately, Lauban just passed, but Lauban's babies were doing great. I mean, this is a great sire line. So not only do you have a horse at stud, but now with the mare having his half sibling, a half brother, I would imagine there's got to be that interest, because if he hits at stud after already having proved himself, as a racehorse, I can't imagine, right, that people don't want to get in on that. And on top of it, like you said, she's got the full sibling that she's carrying. We're about a week away from knowing what the gender is there. Do you have a preference? You open for a mare or filly?
I'm kind of hoping for a mare, but if it is another boy, that's fine as well. She's throwing very correct babies, and everybody wants stallions. So me, I'm more on the breeder's end now. But as far as owning racehorses, I've been in business for 36 years now,
Wow.
and which is probably 35 years too long. But some reason I just can't get out.
What has this been like for your family? Your wife, Brenda, beautiful Brenda, she is so lovely. When you obviously were already into horses and racetrack culture and everything before you met. How did you introduce her to it? And did she think you were crazy at first?
Well, everyone thought I was crazy. But with my wife Brenda, I told her what I was going to do. I told her I was going to have own racehorses and I was going to have an insurance business. And if she wanted to stay with me, I was hoping she'd say yes. So she stayed with me, and now she can enjoy the fruits of the world.
Oh yeah, she is so again lovely. It just encompasses everything. I mean, inside out, and your family, your whole family were fantastic there at Breeders' Cup. What was it like celebrating? Champagne room and then off to dinner. Give us the inside scoop. We got to live vicariously through you.
Well, when we went to the Champagne room, first of all, I had to do a lot of interviews with yours truly. And there were other people around, waiting for me. And I remember the microphones being there. And all of a sudden, I just became a rock star. And it was so unbelievable when we were drinking champagne. And I don't even know who won the other races because we were like, and they said, "Okay, your time is up now." And I said, "Well, we don't want to leave. We wanted to stay in there."
I'm sure.
But when we did leave, I mean, so many people came up to congratulate us, and the people from England, they came over. The Learjets connections came over.
Oh yes.
And,
for those who don't know, because Golden Powell, okay, so he starts his career on dirt. And he was just 3/4 of a length beaten, something like that, I think it was.
Yeah, but that was at Gulfstream because we tried to run on the grass, and they wouldn't card the grass races.
Right, and wasn't there a slow hit start or something there too? I can't remember exactly. I feel like
when the race started, the other horse smashed into him at the start, so he
and then he just gunned. And then he just gunned, and now I remember, because that's the very first race of his career. They knew he had a lot of talent, but they let him maybe go just maybe a little bit too soon.
Yeah, well, he went quarter, I believe, was 21-2. And if you don't break on top, what 2-year-old goes 21-2? I mean, it's almost like what?
You went 21-2, 45-2. And then the race was finished in 52-1. And then you guys take him over to Ascot. Did you go or did you stay home?
No, because of COVID, we couldn't travel.
That's right.
Yeah. So we went to the Red Rock Casino over here in Las Vegas. And
really?
A nice little party, English breakfasts and stuff like that. And every single TV in the whole sports book had the race on.
Oh, that is awesome.
And we were yelling and screaming and when the jock asked him to go, he moved him about a stride too early. But I thought we had won the race. But again, that was only his second start. So, as horses run, they get better and better. And
the ground was good soft that day, too.
Yes, it was soft because it rained.
Yeah. Now, I feel like now, though, as a mature horse, I wouldn't necessarily say, however the ground ends up coming up on, at York for the Nunthorpe this time, I don't think it's going to matter. I think it was more all, horses got the maturity level. I mean, the fact that he overcame what he did in kind of being pulled back a little bit early on in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, and yet he still had the gumption to go on with it. Because sometimes horses, if you tell them no, don't go yet, they start to fight you. And he didn't. He relaxed back into the bit because, mature enough to understand that the jock was doing what was best for him.
Yes, and again, you can't teach a horse to want to win.
No.
It has to come from within.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've gone on these grand adventures now. What are some more, because you've been involved for quite a while. What are some of the anecdotes of just racing stories in general that you can share, that you will share with us? Just fun stories. You got so many.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean,
Well, what was your first Breeders' Cup? What first Breeders' Cup did you go to?
the first Breeders' Cup I went with John, maybe, and I remember it was at Hollywood Park, I believe it was,
So
and I remember going there. Pardon me?
The very, very first one in '84 at Hollywood Park, or?
Yeah, well, I think that's when Jeannie Jones ran in that time frame. And I remember going there to support John, and I remember John coming up to me and saying, "Where are you sitting?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a seat. I had a suit on, but I'm going to just stand here. But don't worry, I'll be okay." And John said, "Nonsense," and he went over there and bought me a whole table. I mean, it was unbelievable that somebody would do something like that. Because people have to remember that I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Everything that I had to earn the hard way. And who sits there and keeps fighting this battle? And who thinks that they're going to win the Breeders' Cup? Who thinks that they're going to have a champion, or is going to breed a champion? I mean, every dollar in this business, and people ask me, "Well, how did you get the money to do this?" Well, I won it. I've won 199 pick sixes. Yeah, over I believe that the total is about $2.6 million.
Wow.
And the beat just goes on. So was I meant to be in this thing? You know how sometimes you see a natural. I believe I'm a natural in horse racing. Not to pat myself on the back, but I believe I am.
What do you think? What do you think it is that you've had this success strike rate with such a hard wager? I mean, that you can share with us. I know the secret.
Okay, well, I'm a very, very, very good handicapper.
Well,
and when John Navy and I got together, I would tell him which horses he had to beat and how the race was going to run. And when it happened that way, then John would come back and say to me like, "All right, well, what do you think about this one? Or what do you think about that one?" I'd say, "Your horse has got no chance." And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you." And he put his money on it, and I would say, "See, I told you so." And that's how the whole thing kept going on and on. Well, I got so good that I knew how to place the horses where they belong. You got to run a horse where they can win. And I think it was last year. I think I won 60% of my races, and I was in the money 100%.
Wow. Wow. So I mean, so you're still very much involved as a horse player in the industry, even though you've been breeding and racing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow. Have you played in the BCBC? Is that something that you'd want to try next?
That's Alex Walden's thing, if I remember correctly, right? He's retiring as president.
Waldrop, yeah.
Yeah, and I played it at one time, and I saw my name on the board. But the people who play in that contest, they're all looking for the long shot to strike gold, and they're like, "Okay, you know what? I don't need to be consistent. I just need to pick one to to zoom me up to the top." So you have to try it once to experience it, but it's not my cup of tea.
So what's the first thing you do when you're looking to construct a ticket? Do you look for a single, or is that not your main concern as you're going through looking at how to structure your ticket?
Oh yeah, no, you actually hit it right. I look to see if there are one or two singles.
Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, it just gets so expensive. My goodness, though, that's so cool, because I think it's important. I think. Do you think that well, you basically just said it did, but can you more illustrate why you feel like your ability as a horse player is what helped you with the breeding side of things. Is this part of what helped you select the mare that you ended up breeding to midshipman for Lady, or?
I don't know how to answer that.
Oh, is there a fun story?
Because unless I want to give away a lot of my secrets and everything.
Oh, okay. Well, no, we wouldn't want you to do that. Yes, we would, but we won't push you to do that.
Yeah, but I will say one thing.
Yeah.
Everybody out there who listens to your show, I hope they realize one day that, Randall Lowe came up to certain people and said, "You really should buy my horse. I think my horse is really good." And they all laughed at me and said, "Well, yeah, that guy's coming up to me to pull a fast one." Well, you know what? I didn't want to pull a fast one. I have no ill regard for anybody, but if you don't believe me, that's fine. Don't believe me.
It's all you can do is say your truth, right? And if somebody believes you, and if they don't,
yeah.
But I mean, again, it's gotta just feel crazy though, because it's not that you just ended up having a couple good horses. You ended up having, a horse like Lady Shipman who can set records, and you ended up having a horse like Golden Powell who can win a Breeders' Cup race. I mean, it wasn't just a little. See, I was right. It was like boom.
Yeah, well, Lady Shipman, her track record at Saratoga stood for 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
And, Powell's running over there at Saratoga again. And I'm kind of wondering if Wesley will squeeze the lemon a little bit and break the track record again that somebody else broke.
Wouldn't that be something, right?
Yeah, but I know Wesley, and I know Wesley is pointing for, he really wants to win the Nunthorpe race in England, and he really wants to win the Breeders' Cup, and I'll be there for the Breeders' Cup as well.
Do you remember when you first got a call from him, basically confirming what you already knew about Golden Powell, that this was a really, really, really special horse?
Oh yeah. Well, I had talked to Wesley, and Wesley's like, "Well, I've got 62-year-old." He had 62-year-olds.
Oh my gosh! Right? Yeah.
And he had all the wealthy owners of the world, and they were saying stuff to him like, "Why is Randy's horse so much better than our horse?" Well, let's let him prove it. So, in the morning workouts, he'd work certain horses with certain horses, and who's in front. I remember coming to the Breeders' Cup as well, and there was an owner there, and I won't mention the name, who went down there and said, "Let's see if we can beat Powell." And then afterwards, the owner said, "Okay, now we don't have to do that anymore." But when we ran the Breeders' Cup, I believe Wesley ran like 5 horses.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's because the other owners didn't believe that we would beat them.
Wow. There's just so many different parts to this story too. I mean, one of the other things, going back to talking about the race specifically, I don't remember the exact connection, but in that race, Momos, I believe he's out of a half sister to Mongolian Saturday, who had beat Lady Shipman just by that little bit. And now here he was in the race. And so it's kind of fun to see these storylines progress from one generation to the next generation. And so that's why also it almost felt all the more as though Powell was finishing Mom's unfinished business.
Yes, he did. I remember that, and we'll show you. And then, with all due respect to Coolmore, we will show them because they had a horse in the race. I remember the horse from Washington that the owners would come up to me especially at the airport, and talk about how great the horse was, and I kept thinking, okay, you know what? Bring it on. You want to run against me? Just bring it on. Because again, no one has believed me from the very beginning anyway.
Well, I remember. Oh yeah, go ahead.
You didn't believe me when I had Lady Shipman. You didn't believe me that when I would tell people about Golden Powell. Well, now I'm telling everybody about Lieutenant General.
Okay, we're listening.
Lieutenant General he was born very correct. He's a good-looking individual. He's very well balanced, good shoulders on him and everything. If I decide to sell him, we'll see who comes out. If not, you will see again.
Is he a horse that if you do think that you'll be in the market to sell him, would it be a horse that you'd put in the yearling sale at Saratoga? Is he a September Keeneland? Is he a horse that maybe you would hold on to and sell as a 2-year-old? What is your feeling on that? Do you think people sell them a little too early, or do you think they should wait till they're 2?
My feeling is the way he looks now and everything, you have to look at the horses because some of them mature faster, some of them take time to grow. I believe he's a September Keeneland horse, book one.
Book one. I love
but
it.
again, we'll see what everybody else thinks because they don't believe me anyway.
Well, he's a first crop Omaha Beach, right? Like I know he is Omaha Beach, but this is his first crop.
Yes. Yeah, he's a first by Omaha Beach.
And what was the idea with the pairing there?
I had thought about, Dick Mandela training Omaha Beach, and Dick's a friend of mine, and he's always done very well with the horses. He doesn't use the illegal medication that some of the other trainers use, and I just thought, if Dick could carry on his career like that, I knew the stud had to be really good in the breeding ship. So I called up Spindthrift Farm and said, this is Randall Lowe, owner of Lady Shipman. Oh yeah, they knew who I was right away.
And he is a beautiful horse. He truly is. And then, like we already discussed, you've got the Uncle Mo full sibling to Powell that she's carrying now. And so, when is she due?
I believe the baby is due in April.
I like that. I'm an April baby, and I know Lady Shipman is an April baby also. She was born April 14th. I'm an April 12th baby.
Yeah, but Lieutenant General is special because he was born on my birthday.
That's right. I forgot. You told me that before. I totally forgot. Oh my gosh. Well, tell us more. Like, so does that make you maybe even question maybe you're supposed? What is it with you with the storyline? Seriously, things just fall into place with you. I mean, we talked about, for example, with Powell drawing the 14 holes. So he had the burgundy colors, and then with the gold and the golden eagle colors, and just all these different things just happen to in a very eerie but cool way come together with these horses for you.
Yeah, well, Wesley's keeping my silks for some reason. I don't know why, but like I said, I only have 2 horses now. And 36 years in business is a long time. I mean, you can go broke very fast in this business. But fate has been very kind. And I don't know what to do. You'll have to ask me in 2 months from now.
Well, we're gonna keep on you about that. Kristen Corey says, would like to see Lady Shipman bred to run happy.
Oh, Run Happy ran in the Breeders' Cup the same time that we did.
Yes, that's right.
2015. And again, that the owner is Mattress Matt.
Yeah.
There in Texas. He would be okay, except the fact that have you seen any Run Happies run on the grass?
You know what?
I haven't seen it.
But
they run on the dirt, but I don't know if they run on the grass. Now, Lady Shipman, when we ran her on the synthetic track at OBS, she ran 108 and change.
Yeah.
6 furlongs. I mean, she could run fine, and I wanted to run her on the dirt track, but at the time, Kathleen O'Connell said, "No, you should keep this horse on the grass." And when Powell came around, we ran him on the dirt. He ran okay and everything, but Wesley said to me, "You should keep this horse on the grass." So I think again with the Omaha Beach baby, with Lieutenant General, I don't know.
There's so many horses that would go well with her too. I mean, she's just got so much going for her in terms of that speed that she has, and then how you could flip it one way or the other, depending on the sire. And it's just going back to what you were saying about Uncle Mo bringing the size. I mentioned this to you before also. I was shocked when I got out to Coolmore because I'd never seen Uncle Mo in person before up until a couple months ago. Now, obviously, he's seen the replays, but he's such a well-balanced horse that you don't realize how big he is until you're standing right next to him. He's huge.
Oh yeah, he's really huge.
He's huge, and just it's so fun to see a horse who was tremendously talented as he was, and then go on to do what he's doing at stud, and then go on to prove himself as a sire of sires. Because when you have a dynastic horse like that, it makes it all the more exciting to then see what Powell will do, for example, when he goes and retires to stud. I love Mike Rapoli too, and Mike Rapoli obviously campaigned Uncle Mo. Is it cool to like have a horse like? Did you have people from connections of Uncle Mo, for example, like congratulating you on all the success that you had?
Oh yeah. Again, the Magniers and and everything.
Yeah.
Again, having Golden Powers has really been an unbelievable dream. I mean, I couldn't have written the script any better.
No, I know, right? Are you going to write a book? You should write a book, and you should have your handicapping tips in there.
Handicapping tips about a book. They've already asked me before, and I said no. My dad said you don't want to do that until you're ready to retire. The whole journey it's like it has been meant to be. It's almost as if somebody had drawn the script from the day I was born.
Is there a part that's been the best?
Yeah, I think the best thing in my life, besides marrying my wife, Brenda,
that's right. Good.
was winning the Breeders' Cup.
Wow.
It really was, because the satisfaction of doing what everybody said you could not do, and you only had one chance to do it. That is so satisfaction. Just like when the horses went to the auction, and I talked to probably 8 or 9 different trainers and different owners, and they just said, yeah, okay, whatever. They were just probably being polite to me. And then to watch the bidding go through the auction, to see the announcer say, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is the fastest horse in the auction, the fastest girl," and yet nobody bid again. There have been people that ask me, "Hey, what did you do with that fast mare of yours?" And I go, "I still have her." And they're like, "Oh, what are you going to do with her next?" and stuff. So again, I've got the right formula.
Yeah.
I've got everything the right way. And there will be a time when I say enough is enough. Because what else is there to prove or to go after? Unless you want to repeat something. To me, the Breeders' Cup is the World Championship.
Yeah.
And to win the World Championship, it's an unbelievable feeling to accomplish.
I mean, what more do you need to say there, right?
Yeah. So they say bring on Lady Shipman. Well, okay, fine. We bring on Lady Shipman, and then when we beat you, we win the money, and we're going to get them jet and go back home. And then people would say, okay, well, what about Powell? We'll bring on Powell. Okay, we brought on Powell, and we won the race and took the money, and we went on home. Now it's time for LG, which is Lieutenant General.
That's right.
Isn't 3 the charm usually?
Yes. Yeah. Right. Oh my gosh! But it looks like you've been pretty charmed for the first time and the second time. That's a really, I do want to ask real quick. After the din and the roar of the crowd quiets, and the race has been, because the race has been run, the flashes of the camera have dimmed as well. You go back to what was it like seeing Powell up close for the first time after he'd won?
Well, after he'd won, he knew that he won. He was strutting around, and he knew that he won. But again, he didn't know the importance of the race. But again, to an individual like myself, it was like pointing my finger at everybody and saying, "Nah, I told you so." I told you so, and you didn't believe me. And then everybody who all the naysayers in the world, I won't do what was gonna do, but
You can
you
do
can just
it.
imagine. No, so
Well, you know what? I will say this. I think it takes tremendous tremendous unconditional love for a horse, or anybody in your life, but in this situation, a horse, to, get to this level with him, have the success with him, and then say, I'm going to let you fly forward now. I'm sure it was bittersweet when you signed the deal.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But again, I was looking for an entity to carry his stud career forward.
yeah,
I don't have a ranch anyplace.
right.
I don't intend on buying a ranch. And Coolmore made me an offer, and I struck the deal.
Well, you're still always going to be part of Team Pal, and thank you so
Well,
much
yeah,
for
I've got
letting
2 breeding
me.
rights. Don't
That's
forget, I got
right.
2 breeding rights.
Well,
Yeah,
now you need a
yeah.
mare. So you can't get out. You got to have the mare to breed to him.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So again, people keep telling me that kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, now you're telling me what I should be doing before you. You said I didn't know what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh. Now my mind already, I'm like, what type of line would go really well with Pal? I'm gonna have
Oh
to look.
yeah, I've actually been looking, at different sales and
Oh, you have.
stuff like that. Oh yeah,
Have you even thought about, it's really interesting. It's remarkable. Sometimes you can find a mare who's just like bred crazy good in the claiming ranks. And I don't know, sometimes they just fall through the cracks. But obviously there's the sales books too. And I mean, Uncle Mo and his line just goes with pretty much, anything and can get you any type.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, it's just going to be a matter of it. I mean, I'm excited already because
yeah,
to
yeah.
me,
Well, Wesley said to me on the phone that I should be buying a horse in the I think he said July auction
yeah.
coming up. He goes, you just spend a few $100,000 on a
Yeah.
July auction. And I said to Wesley, Wesley, every time I bought a horse, um, the horse has never panned out, and every time I breed a horse,
It pans out.
it pans out. So I think I'll stick with my breeding the horses and watch what I develop. I might be a small scale, but when the lion's roaring, he's warm.
Well,
So
you're gonna find a nice brood mare that'll fit Pal perfectly, I'm sure. The November sale, whatever. Maybe you scatter out private purchase. I don't know, but you'll find his girlfriend for sure.
oh yeah,
And then you'll breed something incredible. And then in the meantime, we're going to be looking forward to his half brother and his full sibling and following their adventures forward and everything. I mean, I would imagine Coolmore, when he does retire his stud, he's going to get such a, amazing book of mares because just the depth of pedigree that they have access to on their own end of it, let alone what other people will bring to the table.
yeah. Well, I remember going to a luncheon at Keeneland, and this gentleman came up to me and said, "Do you still have the mother?" And I go, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "Well, if you would like to sell her, we'd have about 12 people in this room bidding against each other." And that when he said that to me, that was like, wow, instant satisfaction.
No, that sounds to me like because a lot of times, sometimes people, they'll only only sell a horse out of that they have a connection with, if they feel like they can and zoos do this too when they have to move one of the animals on because they're going to be breeding and you can't breed back obviously into the family like that. So that's probably, if you ever did decide to sell Lady, that would probably be the incentive for that would be to bring in somebody to cross with Pal.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to say too much because let's just say I know what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
And
You keep it to the vest. You keep it to the vest.
yes, yes.
Well, whatever you're gonna do, your success rate percentage is like out of bounds. So, I mean, my gosh, you call you Midas because what you touch is turning to gold left and right. And it's got to feel, just really, really as you were saying, satisfying to reach such heights with a horse that, I mean, it's called the Breeders' Cup. You don't just own this horse. You didn't, throw down a sale because you knew already it was going to be great. You took the risk, you took the gamble, you bred a horse, and you carried him all the way through into, getting him on the world stage. And that's just, again, statistically remarkable.
Yeah. Not to pat myself on the back, but it really is remarkable.
I would pat myself on the back for that. I mean, seriously, it's just like, again, and again, it's not even, you bred the mom too, and it was the second horse you bred. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but just remember, everybody that I tried to sell the horse
Wouldn't
to,
take.
yeah, they wouldn't take. They didn't believe me.
Well, they believe you now. So.
Oh yeah, now they believe me. To be in this business, I own the horses 100% myself.
Yes.
And everybody else who's in the business, unless you're filthy,
independently
very
rich,
well off,
right.
They have partners, and they say spread the risk because this horse might not be good, or this horse could break a leg, or this horse could get hurt. And I just traveled down the street by myself, leading my own horse.
Was Brenda ever like, "What are you doing now?"
Oh yeah. She asked me certain questions, but she knows what I'm doing.
She has the faith.
Now I'm in a position now where I really can finally afford to be in business. And whereas before it was like every dollar we had or I had went to the horses,
right?
Other than what didn't go to necessities,
right? Is there ever now, like when you win a race like that, is there ever this feeling of like, well, how do you, because you kind of mentioned this earlier, but is it more pressure or is it less pressure? Like, okay, we hit this. Now anything else more is gravy, or is it, okay, we reached this level, how do we stay there or surpass?
Well, every time I ran a horse, whether it's I don't have many claiming horses, but if it was an allowance race or a stakes race, I would always get nervous. The butterflies never leave you. You're always nervous before. And then, when you get a horse like Lady Shipman, I remember the NBC camera right on me, and Brenda's sitting next to me, and I go, the camera's on us, and, watch what you say, don't get mad, and then, when they're in the stretch and you're yelling and you're rooting your horse on, you forget that there's a camera on. And it has just been so exciting to do everything and to be a part of the horse racing royalty type world. Horse racing is the only business I know where a person could get lucky. And if you worked hard at it, you might not do it tomorrow, you might not do it in 5 years, you might not do it in 10 years. But if you believe enough in yourself and you believe it, you can do this. You could change your life from being an ordinary person into becoming a multi-millionaire.
Wow.
And that's all I can say about that.
Well, that's where we're going to leave it, because I don't know how I top that, asking you anything else. Randy, thank you so much for all the insight and the love and the story. You do need to write the book. It would be a great movie.
We'll see.
I think it'd be a fun movie. I think it'd be a fun movie. I think we're due for another racetrack movie, right?
Well, again, to come for it, I came. I don't know if a lot of the viewers know this. I used to be the guy begging for a racing form to go in for the last race at Hollywood Park or Santa Anita, because they let you in for free. So I could bet my $2 or $4 on the horse, and then afterwards be like, "What are you going to do now?" I don't know. We lost all our money, so what are we going to do? To go from that all the way to the world champion Breeders' Cup. You tell me somebody else who's done that. I don't know anybody else.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. So there will be more to this story. The book is not over yet.
That's right.
But we've got 2 there, and if Lady Shipman would have won the Breeders' Cup instead of running second, I probably would have sold her, and we wouldn't have Powell. So I think everything was meant to be.
I know it was.
And then the other kids had to be there and everything else, and I was so determined and proud that we were going to win. And I just kept thinking, how much is our victory dinner going to cost us? Yeah, I need to win that money to pay for the victory dinner. Not because I didn't have the money, just because if people say, well, what do you do with all your winnings? Well, I spend it on my victory dinner.
The important things. Got to prioritize the budget.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Ren can write the movie. I can write the movie.
Yeah, you can.
I can write
I can
the
sit
movie.
down with you and everything else, and we can get Gary
Let's put it
Bartlett
out.
or one of those other guys. And
I love it. Everybody loves seeing the person who, like you said, didn't have that same type of backing or, the lineage, of the family coming in, and because they truly have that passion and they learned from somebody who, is very vested and a great mentor. You went on that ride, and then you went on the ride on your own. And that was one of the biggest gambles you ever took, and it paid off. And like you said, that story is not over yet.
Yeah, and again, a lot of people have told me that I've lost my mind on this ownership. 36 years of owning, but now I look back at everybody else and I said, now who's lost their mind? Now who's crazy and everything?
Have you got any of your friends outside of racing now want to jump in?
Oh yeah. There are people like, are you going to go to the casino today? Are you going to be in the sports book? Because they've got a couple of seats with my name on it.
Oh, really? There. Oh, fun.
I'll be in my seats. And, I've got other friends that, whatever you bet, I want 10%. And I tell them, well, unless you're there, you can't have 10%. Oh, yeah, and this is, they're there in the morning early. And because once I let you in for 10%, then the other people can't get in for 10%.
That's right.
That's all I'm willing to sell. But everything I've done with horse racing has been a dream come true. And if you do what you like, then you never really have to go to work, because when you're doing what you like or love, you get up every day and you look forward to the challenges.
That's right. That's right. My work does not feel like work, especially when I get to speak to friends like you. And I want to thank you so much for not only your time today, but just, again, inviting me into being part of the team, because it's incredible where these horses can take you. They don't have physical wings on their sides, but they are like Pegasus, and they take you around the world without you even having to leave your own seat, just by watching them run.
Yeah, and if you know me, then I've lived the dream come true.
Wow.
So, and it's not over yet. We'll see.
It's not over. No, it's not. So you're going to keep me updated on what's happening with Lieutenant General, and you're going to keep me updated on Colt or Filly with the full sibling.
Yeah, I'll let you know, but I know a lot of people want to know.
I know,
so,
right? Come on, it's like one of those things. I mean, look, I'll be happy for you, Colt, Filly, either way. I think I like Filly because obviously then you got the whole breeding side of it that can come into play, where she'll be even more desirable in terms of you wouldn't even necessarily have to run her, and she already has the broodmare perspective value for you.
Yeah. So again, the question is, how many years do you want me to stay in this business?
Forever. Get it?
36.
You come this far, you might as well just stick it in for the long haul.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I'm stuck here.
I think you are too. Well, Randy, thank you so much. And again, ton of love to Brenda too, because she's just awesome. And I look forward to when I can see you in person again. In the meantime, again, keep me apprised of what's happening with the siblings. And I am wishing you all the best with you. Still, you're still part of Team Golden Pal. You're still going to, be following his career and going out there, hopefully, for the Nunthorpe Stakes. at York in August, I believe. And yeah, exciting times ahead for
I gotta
you.
have the high teeth, like you said. I gotta have the high teeth.
Pinkies out. Well, everybody, this is you hang on for a second after I end the show. I'll say a private goodbye. But for now, everybody, this has been your Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday, but talking about a horse who was 2 years old last year who came through with a championship score there at Breeders' Cup. I do want to remind you, though, also, we have more Win and You're In action coming up this weekend because we're going to be looking at Gulfstream and we're going to be looking at Belmont Park. I'm just pulling up my schedule here. I had it, but I must have hit it by accident. Yeah, right here. We've got the Princess Rooney. That is a Win and You're In for the Filly and Mare Sprint at Gulfstream Park. That is July 3rd. And then also on the 3rd is the Suburban, a Win and You're In for the Longines Classic at Belmont Park. And also at Belmont, the John A. Nehru Stakes. That's going to be on July 4th. Fireworks going off. A Win and You're In for the sprints. Okay, everybody, again, my special guest, Randall Lowe, Team Golden Powell. I'll see you here next week.